Hello and welcome to Chicago Reacts. My name is Lauren and today I am going back to Bricky's Alan Wake playlist averse. So this one is going to be Alan Wake 2. The video itself is an hour long, so I'm not sure if I'm going to watch it all today or if I'm going to watch it in 2 parts. Either way, I'll be releasing it as one video, but I don't know that I'm going to sit there and watch the whole thing today because it's a really long video and I talk a lot and I'm going to need a break at some point. But anyway, looking forward to it. Really been enjoying the rest of this series, learning a lot about this whole universe. Looking forward to see what Bricky has to say about Alan Wake 2. Sam Lake, you hack. Affectionate. We love him. So I wonder who his beloved is going to be in this game, because he's got a new beloved. So, and he had it was Bernard or something in the first one. I can't remember his actual name. I want to call him Bernard in my head. And then, he had his own beloved for Control. I'm looking forward to see what it's going to be here. Let's find out.
Thank you for sponsoring this video factor, and let's talk about Sam Bake, Alan's Wake.
Great. Good job. Good slam poetry there. Hi.
Hello, everybody. I moved the microphone again. Whenever you hear me reference the characters in the game and I go like, Wake. Now you know it's all the way up there. No, I bet you were really hoping for a Champion of Light dance intro for this, weren't you?
Maybe I'll change my microphone.
Every single other YouTuber on the platform, huh? Sorry, I'm not that easily deciphered. Much like this game. Also, the green screen.
I do need to watch that Gods of Asgard song too. I do remember that. Now that I have watched that little clip, I forgot about it entirely until this moment. But I will watch that. Not today.
Not that I let you get those cheesy grippers for free. Though this is where it all started, isn't it? At the 2023 Game Awards, Herald of Darkness was performed, and it was such a wild and hilarious thing to watch that I decided to go through the Remedy titles, and here we are. We're at the culmination of the ridiculous works of Sam Lake, you hack. And what a culmination it is. All of Remedy's prior titles, even the crappy ones, the one I'm talking about, they're all used to make up Alan Wake 2. It's not just the sequel to that 2010 cult classic. It's adding references and in-jokes from Quantum Break, playing with rebranded characters from Max Payne, and utilizing the world created from Control. To some, this is the magnum opus of Remedy.
That's really cool they're using Control stuff. I don't remember learning much about Max Payne, so...
The Finnish Kojima himself. What that manifests to become in-game is fascinating and is going to be very difficult to explain, but
that's why it takes an hour.
Take a crack at it, So let's start the spiral.
Back to the beginning. We all come to a story with hopes and expectations, looking for an answer. Sometimes it would be better to live with that hope without ever knowing the full story.
Sometimes.
The game opens with a much more dour start than we're used to. You play as a dirty naked man, 10 out of 10 video game, arising from Cauldron Lake, or at least he would be naked if I didn't have to turn on the pants setting because of YouTube demonetization. You learn a few movement controls and make your way up the hill before getting hit by 2 jump scares back to back. Deer jumping out at you in a full screen one. Then you realize the deer clearly call for reinforcements as you are assaulted by men in deer masks. You then get the ability to watch yourself get shot, stabbed, and have your heart removed, all upon a wooden table. And with that, we get our title card.
Okay. So not this character then. It's always interesting when games do that, when they make you start to play as a character who's not your character that you're gonna be playing. Ugh. And also, I feel like I've been seeing a lot of deer mask stuff recently, and I don't know why. It's just everywhere recently. And the past month, everything is deer masks. You hack. Oh, I thought it was gonna go you hack. Love it though.
The game begins properly with you playing as Saga Anderson, an FBI agent, along with your partner, Alex Casey, and just like, he's already here, man. It took him about 12 and a half minutes. You hack! Oh, you hack! You've arrived to Bright Falls to investigate the murder you just played
Gotta put himself
out.
in.
And you meet with two of the deputies,
Gotta put
Morgan
himself
and
in.
Thornton, which had
Like,
small
M. Night
moments
Shyamalan.
in the original game over the radio, and begin understanding
okay.
the mechanics of the game as Saga. It should be stated first and foremost that Alan Wake 2 is one of the best looking video games I have ever played, and it should be hopefully somewhat clear from the footage you are seeing, but it definitely does not tell the full story. See, I
very
had two
atmospheric.
playthroughs of this game, one on stream and one off. Alan Wake 2 is not a very well optimized game for PC. I have an extremely beefy computer for obvious work related reasons. And for the most part, I can handle streaming games without issues. Now, Control didn't handle particularly well considering its age, and Alan Wake 2 while streaming handled like complete dog shit.
Oh,
it constantly
great.
dropped below 60, sometimes even to under 30 frames a second,
Whoa.
with ray tracing turned off and settings on low to medium, even with DLSS enabled. It also has a very clear memory leak, as performance would decrease over time and I would need to restart the game every 2 hours or so. This
Ew.
problem is specific to my situation, however, as I don't own a dual PC streaming setup, something I will be changing as a direct result of these issues.
Good.
This did hamper
You
my
learn, you
initial
grow.
exposure to the game, and my second playthrough on my own time without streaming was far better in terms of frame rates and overall performance. I was able to crank up the RTX to medium, and the game just, it looks
It is pretty.
phenomenal. However, I did still get some performance hits even when I was on my own. Even a computer as strong as mine could not run a perfect Alan Wake 2. I'd probably recommend that if you are picking this game up, it is either on console or with full knowledge
more
of its
sense.
PC issues. I would also heavily recommend playing this game on a gamepad. I used mouse and keyboard for the entirety of my first playthrough, and this game is clearly not meant for it.
Oh, speaking of games that are not meant for the PC, but like maybe can be used on the PC, do we know if they've patched all the issues that were happening with Last of Us 2 yet? Because, or the Last of Us for the PC. Because I have that game for the PC and I would love to play it, but like I bought it like a year ago and then I found out that there was like a million different patches and everything, and like it was terrible. Like it handled like dog shit. So I never played it because I was waiting, because once you start playing it, then you only have a certain amount of time to like return it, from what I understand. But I think if I didn't play it, it's fine. So I never opened it. And even if that's not the case and I have to just own it now, have they patched it? Do you know? Can I play that on my PC? Would you watch me stream it? Let's go.
Its inputs are off, its menus are particularly terrible, with a huge focus on the inventory system being awful. And once I swapped the
Huge
gamepad, it
focus on
felt
it being-
a million times better. I initially
the
wrote
gamepad,
it
though.
off as just performance issues messing with my controls, but it was both. I can't truly express how much better it felt to play this game with a controller and at full frames, obviously. I mention this now because at this point in the game, we learn about a mechanic Saga has called the Mind Place. This is an entirely separate play space dedicated to the menus and mechanics of the game. It contains weapon upgrade menus, radio broadcasts, manuscript
Interesting.
pages, television content, as well as two things
Cool.
specific to her, being the case board and profiling sections. In order to piece together the case on the murder, you utilize facts you find and place them on the board to draw various conclusions. You can also profile people, which is quite the mechanic. Saga just kind of pulls things out of thin air and
Magic.
makes some wild assumptions based on the very little evidence she has on them.
What are the bookers telling me?
I found their necklace. The symbol is 2 triangles.
Tammy found something. A necklace belonging to one of the cultists.
Okay. Wow. How did you put that together?
It's evidence.
Good question.
Now, hold
Tammy.
your horses there, Bucko. Keep them tight because this is explained later, but not for a long while. And I was genuinely taken aback by how much she operated on what felt like baseless internal
Yes.
monologues. But
Like
this
it's
mind
not
place
just a necklace with 2 triangles. Like that. Okay, sure.
is operated at all times in the game. Hitting menu will take you there instantaneously, so it probably has to be mostly rendered and available at every point of gameplay. I do genuinely wonder how much of this decision is what held back the optimization of the game. The mechanic itself is very neat. It's something
it would
I
have to be
haven't seen
running the whole
before,
time.
and it's a great way to immerse yourself in the game, but I do believe the cost of performance is directly correlated. So Saga and Casey make their way to the body, and you go through the preliminary investigation. You look for clues about the cult that killed him, how they arranged the body, and other important factors near Cauldron Lake. It's a relatively simple
so he was
intro,
an
and
FBI
it's
guy.
all about general gameplay setup. It's slow, but in a good way. A nice slow burn after the intro hits you as hard as it did. The big intrigue before the end is that Saga and Casey find one of Wake's manuscript pages that directly refers to them.
Page of a story.
Stranger than fiction, huh?
Left a message.
It's for us. The text is about us. The victim was one of their own. FBI Special Agent Robert Nightingale.
That's fucking right, baby. The big boy you played as is Mr. Robert Nightingale from the original game. Even as he
Wild.
was being tied up and murdered, he still had the ability to call Alan another insult 13 years later.
Hemingway.
I aspire to be this upper crust
Wow.
of hater, this echelon of detractor. So you take
He
Night.
he got fat, huh? Well, Hemingway. I mean, what's his face? Nightingale. You got a cushy little desk job?
Nightingale to be thoroughly examined at the morgue in Bright Falls, and also question the two witnesses who saw the crime and force the cult of the tree to leave with their ritual unfinished. Returning to Bright Falls just it feels so nostalgic, and I find that feeling bizarre because I didn't play Alan Wake 13 years ago. I played it 2 months ago, and yet coming back here to a beautifully rendered modern version of Bright Falls, preparing for Deer Fest yet again,
Yay,
it
Deer
fills my
Fest.
heart with joy. And coffee. Lots of coffee.
Yay,
It's also much
coffee.
more populated. There are conversations to overhear across the entire play area, and not all of them are like worth listening to technically, but there are tons of
But they're
hilarious
fun,
bits.
right? So like I feel like they did that with the Last of Us as well. Speaking of The Last of Us. So I really like it in games like that where it's like, yeah, you can get some interesting little you get slice of life. You get to see how these people live in this world, and it makes it feel so much more real. And I really like it.
References to the original game are everywhere. There's no lime or coconut. This is a crime. Someone's gonna pay. When you meet the two witnesses, they're having cherry pie and coffee, which is as blatant a Twin Peaks reference as you
Yeah.
can get, even in a
Fair.
game series that is blatant Twin Peaks references. But anyway, you interview the Bookers, the two young aspiring artists who came here to do a piece on Alan's disappearance 13 years ago, and learn all that they can tell you, utilizing Saga's magical profiling powers. You
Yeah,
also talk to
gotta love that
Rose,
she has those.
who's as stable as always.
Saga Anderson, as I live and breathe. I thought we'd never see you back here after that awful, awful thing happened to your baby girl.
Oh my god, girl. What the fuck? You can't just do that. What? This bitch. You can't do that. Something like you can't say that out loud in front of all these people. Also, I'm a terrible person in like when it comes to like faces and memory. So it's like if I don't see somebody for like 2 years, I probably am not gonna remember what they look like. If it's been just like, yes, I so remember you, person. I'm terrible with that kind of thing though. Like I just wouldn't recognize. I don't recognize anybody like ever. Sometimes I don't recognize people if they get a haircut. Like I'm like, especially if it's like a severe different haircut. But that's a me thing. That's just my ability to tell people's faces apart is bad. Which is why I was like, that guy looks like Jeff Winger from Community. Apparently with Sam Lake. I should have known that.
How are you? I'm sorry. Who are you? I don't know what you're talking about.
Rose.
Just gonna move past that one. You continue along, get to chat a
What
good
did
deal
you do
with
in your
oh
parallel
God,
universe? in your head?
Sheriff Tim Breaker. Tim E. Breaker. You hack. For the uninitiated, this is the same
Yeah, what's
voice
that?
actor slash actor who played the main character in Quantum Break. Since Microsoft owns the
Fun!
Quantum Break game and license, it's technically not a part of the Remedyverse, but they are definitely finding their way around that.
I don't think that's a hack. I think that's just fun. I love it when they do little Easter eggs like that based on like voice actors and like things that they've been in or regular actors. I just think that's so much. I think that's fun. Little references to their other bodies of work. I think that like I love it when they do that. I think in like Supernatural they did it all the time, but I feel like the mom from Zack and Cody was in it. And they made a reference to her like, "What, you want me to live out of a hotel?" like they like little jokes, and I always just think that's so fun when they do that. Like make a little reference to something else that they're known for. That's a clever one.
Breaker, Timmy Breaker. I can't believe
Time Breaker.
Mr.
That's
Breaker
so
takes you to
funny.
the morgue in the
I love
sheriff's
it.
office.
Brilliant.
Where Saga immediately makes me cringe out of my mind by taking a bloody manuscript page out of the body
Without gloves?
wearing gloves. Saga, gloves.
Nightingale hunted Saga.
Then, as punishment for her crimes against sanity, Tim is sent to the Shadow Realm. Nightingale wakes up, beats her ass, and walks around like a hungry stepdad at 3 in the morning.
I'll make you pay.
This is where we get our combat tutorial, small one at that. Instead of just healing like you would in the original game, sources of light are both small heals but also stealth. They're zones where the Taken cannot see you. So utilizing this, you get your gun and send Nightingale back also to the Shadow Realm. But
They
not
just really
before
wanted
he
him to
gets
be
at
naked
least one
forever,
more
huh?
jab at Wake. That is the end of the first part of this game, and it is substantially more effective than the original Alan Wake game. You get some twists, good callbacks, a few solid tutorials, and genuine
great jokes.
intrigue into what is going on from an outside perspective. Alan Wake 2 genuinely starts off much stronger than the first game, even if I do like controls opening a little more. This is where the meat of the game starts coming up. As you can probably tell rather well, this game does not play like its predecessor. Since Remedy have opted for a more psychological horror tone than the prior games, they have also changed up the gameplay to match it. We've gone from generic third-person action to third-person survival horror, and the game basically just blatantly copies Resident Evil 2 beat for beat. I really like Resident Evil 2. I'm not like a huge defensive fanboy over it, but they just straight up copied it. Like this is Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, you're getting the gun shop stuff. I have played like half of Resident Evil 2. But I don't know what happened to my PS2. I bet I could find that and play it again. I was just so bad with the cameras and stuff because like it always jumps you, you know, like it just, when it switches your camera angle all the time. I went through the same door like 9 times because like zombies. But anyway, I have played a lot of Resident Evil 2.
Remake, that is. You, Saga, go to a new area.
Not the
and it has
remake,
its
the
own
original.
map, and in this area you explore, find new items, solve puzzles, learn lore, and do all the other things you do with Resident Evil style maps. I compare it to RE2 specifically instead of RE4 because it has a much slower and methodical pace to it, and because you spend your time in a couple very specific areas instead of some sprawling adventure. Saga here heads back to Cauldron Lake and meets an upstanding gentleman, Mr. Ilmo Kostka.
Koskela.
Kostka. My Finnish isn't great. One of the 2 locally famous Kostka brothers who make up the game's lovely live-action TV segments.
Alvamir to the rescue.
That's fun.
They're helping this young man, Steven, repair an FBC outpost. Isn't that quacking crazy there, Jimbo? But following the manuscript pages, Saga is meant to find Giga Chad Nightingale across the Overlap, a way to enter the dark place from the real world utilizing a sort of ritual. Basically, she finds his removed heart in a convenience store with a very upset shift manager.
Well, I mean, obviously he's upset. No one came to relieve him from his shift, but he can't go home. Where's the night crew? He was supposed to go home 6 hours ago.
Occultist.
Then by placing the heart in Barbara Jagger's sign image, she is able to enter this overlap. This segment is very pretty looking, and extremely atmospheric, which does make it disappointing when the boss fight against Nightingale is just shooting him a few times until he disappears and wandering in a loop to fight him again.
Oh,
Repeat
that's kinda bummer.
3 to 4 times. Remedy
That
boss
does seem to
fights
be
have
like
always been
a
a bit shit, and the
repeated
Resident Evil games
sentiment.
like this often also struggle with boss fights. So the deck
Yeah.
is stacked pretty.
That's what I was saying. Like, it seems to be like this seems to be a recurring problem with the boss fights in this series.
Against them. But banishing Nightingale rewards you with escaping the overlap and meeting a lovely gentleman on the edge of the lake
Totally
who's had
normal,
just one
sure.
too many Ama beers.
My name is Alan Wake. I'm a writer.
You've been missing for 13 years.
13.
Dun dun dun. 13. She just like accepts it's him right away too. Like, I'm Alan Wake. Oh yeah, sure, you definitely are, and you've been missing for 13 years.
Alan has returned to us into the real world, and 13 years of being trapped in a room definitely has him shaken up. Despite the obviously crazy discovery of finding missing writer Alan Wake on the beach, you were able to take your time leisurely working
Alive
through
and
other areas of the map
unaged.
that have receded from the flooding. This is to loot new places, do puzzles, and all the other stuff you normally do in games like Resident Evil. But most importantly, we are here to question him. During the question, Alan attempts to remember
That's
what has
great.
been going on, and by
Every time.
entering the janitor bucket spill in the bathroom, we are sent back into the
Gross.
dark place and are playing as Alan Wake. I bought this
Weird.
stupid tweed jacket entirely for this bit.
I mean, have you seen this guy? He wears a tweed jacket.
I couldn't find one with the elbow padding though.
patches.
That would ship here on time. Truly my
Oh,
attention.
I was gonna say that would ship here on time. I'm like, all you gotta do is look for a Doctor Who cosplay. Like, that's all. Like, Doctor Who cosplay. That's all you gotta do.
Quality is faltering. Now we get to play as Alan Wake, or more so, we get to watch Alan Wake because the live action moments are still pretty prominent in this game, as of course it's directed by you fucking hack, Sam. Particularly, we are treated to the talk show In Between with Mr. Door as a confused Matthew Peretta, again dubbed by Ilkavili, looks confused about the second book he has written called Initiation, which he has no memory of writing. Remember when in my control
Oh, what a
video I
dream.
kind of had to just fly past all of the very obvious setups for future reveals? I'm doing that again here,
Okay.
or else I'd basically be spoiling the entire game, which I'm doing, but you know.
But yeah, but not yet.
This
Gotta
book
wait.
is mind-bending. It's so cerebral. I mean, how would you describe it? An auto-fictional thought experiment? A horror story? A postmodern detective story?
Wait. This isn't right. I haven't written anything.
He's so humble.
This entire segment is supposed to be as mind-bending as Mr. Door explains, using the book as an example. You wander around the studio making your way through, then do so again in a looping fashion, and look! He's here! Mr. Sam Lake himself!
Hi, Sam Lake.
Real
Why
talk
does
for
he
a
like? Am I crazy? He looks like freaking the guy who plays Jeff Winger in Community, especially when he does those weird scrunchy faces. Am I nuts? I know I already had a whole thing about how I'm terrible at like telling what people look like, but still.
moment. One of the reasons I call Sam Lake a hack is because he does do pretentious shit like this, like put himself in his own products a lot. That on its own isn't too pretentious, but when he's already the face model for another character in the game, and now he himself literally in the game, and he's saying shit like this.
I'm a huge fan of your books.
Sam Lake, creator of Alan Wake, is playing Sam Lake in the game Alan Wake, complimenting Alan Wake, the character created by Sam Lake, on his skill at writing books, is the most Sam Lake you hack moment I could possibly think of. But then after this whole talk show segment, we get to wander around and we get to meet Ati, our boy.
That's true.
But now we get to talk about
Everyone
one of the
keeps putting in
really
salt.
awesome mechanics in Alan Wake 2, which is the angel lamp. So when playing as Alan in the dark place, there will be various light sources, specifically bright white light zones that when you're close to, you can kind of suck up with your lamp and store as a charge. Then
Fun!
that light source can be brought to a different flickering light source and then just This is a major source of gameplay available to you as Alan, and I think it's one of the aspects of the Alan part that I appreciate so much, because
that is really cool.
after this, you then have the ability to exit the talk show studio and enter the Dark Places rendition of New York. Now, New York here is just mind-bending levels of scenery. It is genuinely one of the best looking places I have seen in a video game. The reason for this isn't because of its graphical fidelity or because it's authentic, but rather because its art direction is so very specialized. Alan Wake's New York is entirely a fake rendition created in Alan's mind. A cursory glance at the environment won't reveal much at all, but it only takes a few seconds to realize that every single piece of graffiti on the walls is something related to Alan's fears and nightmares. Writing, Scratch, Alice, it's all just mocking imagery in the form of graffiti art. Then there is the actual signage for the various buildings in the area. The neon signs and shops all have something either relating to the game itself or to what Alan is struggling with. New York overall is just dripping with fantastic art direction through and through, and it's so unique. It's a style that I have serious respect for, and a vision that they were clearly uncompromising on. To add even more to this shadow realm, we also have the shadows themselves, because instead of creepy Taken in the real world with Saga, you instead fight off shadow creatures that tend to have a habit of teleporting at you or grabbing you by the hair and throwing you into the dirt. These enemies are actually relatively frightening for two main reasons. One, their teleporting attacks are their main source of harming you. So there is no slow advancing enemy. They are 100% moving at you like you owe them money. And two, you actually don't know which of these shadows are real. In the background footage, you'll see tons of black silhouettes, but many of them will just kind of fade away when you get close or shine your light on them. Sometimes though, they will be real, and breaking the darkness will show a shimmering rainbow enemy underneath, which is an enemy you have to fight. So there's a guessing game here, a lot of self-doubt, which works really well with New York's rendition as a whole from a thematic point of view, since, you know, it's a physical version of Alan's demons. And, you know, Alex Casey is also here, because of course he is. Of course. As combat goes with Alan, it's about the same as it is with Saga. However, it just happens to have different weapons. Revolver instead of pistol, and that's mainly it, at least in the beginning. Soon after this, you get to add one more mechanic into the Wake verse, which is choosing a scene. This is, similar to the Angel Lamp, an amazing mechanic centered around changing the environment. Throughout the game, Alan runs into his book version of Alex Casey. To remind you, Alex Casey in the books is the hardcore New York detective that is a spoof of Max Payne and also Alan's best-selling books. Once again, voiced by the astonishingly good James McAfee. I'm always bad at that, rest in peace, of course. Alex Casey has echoes scattered around the dark place that give Alan ideas for new scenes to use and to change the story. So when you enter an area or a scene, you can then choose one of these new scene ideas that will completely change the world around you to match the story. It's a brilliant mechanic, and one that I think is used maybe a bit too sparingly throughout the game, despite how important it is for the story and progression of the Alan sections. Though during this, you get to see Tim again, who's just kind of vibing. Tim gives me this like Sisyphus feeling, where he's always in good spirits and happy to see you, no matter the fact that he was just teleported into a nightmare dimension by Mr. Door. I like Tim.
He's like, whatever. He just like rolled the punches. That's my crazy wall.
I'm just trying to make sense of things. Don't judge me.
Anyway, this whole segment,
I will not. I love you.
Through and are assailed by the dark presence until you end up in a rendition of the sacrifice room of Giga Chad Nightingale. Talk to Saga through T-Mobile's cheapest plan.
Can you hear me now?
No!
And we end the part beckoning us to go to Parliament Tower, Alan's old apartment building where he stayed with Alice. This next section is short, but rather poignant. In the first game, we have that DLC where Alan's demons are fighting him down deeper in the dark place, and Alice's involvement is a big part of that. She even is important in American Nightmare, since keeping Mr. Scratch from getting into the real world and, you know, killing her would be undesirable. Scratch harassing her is still ongoing at this point, and she has set up exhibits and photography traps to keep images of him when they can. I believe this is the first time we get live action Alice here. I'm not sure if it's a different actress than the American Nightmare one or what it is, but it's a lot more prominent than that terrible game's ending. But the one that they chose, the actress that they chose, really talked about some pretty impactful things.
When I was younger, photography was everything to me. I moved to New York thinking I'd make it as an artist. And then I met Alan. good thing.
Yeah, photographer, book writer.
We were both dedicated by our creative ambitions. The only difference was that Alan's work made money. He brought me work when he could. I took his promo shots, created covers for his books.
Something.
I'm sure he forced his publisher into it.
Girl. Let's get some self-esteem.
I was taking photos, just not my photos. And that gnawed at me.
The rest of this clip recaps what happened at Cauldron Lake, but that beginning section, it was so emotional to me because, like, I've been Alan in that situation before. But the concept of, like, Alice not being the breadwinner in that situation and Alan like trying to kind of help, like, hey, you know, it's fine, we'll help get some work, you know, you could shoot some of these shots for like the book thing and whatever, but him still like being totally in the full kind of like power seat there. A lot of the female friends I've spoken to, that's like kind of an issue where they have their dream, they have their kind of like ambition, their creative idea, but then they don't have bills to pay necessarily because they're with someone who can do all of that, but they feel unfulfilled. And like the person will help and like, you could do this, you could do that. Like I've done this before. I had prior exes like who wanted to be artistic.
Like that's like the biggest issue too. Like that's like a major issue in the last 5 years. The last 5 years. I think where like, again, the book writer was doing really well and getting all of this money and everything, and the girl who was trying to be an actress was just not getting anything, and she started to really resent her husband, who I keep calling Jeremy Jordan in my head, even though I'm just thinking of the movie where Jeremy Jordan played him and Anna Kendrick played wait, what the fuck was his name? Because I remember part of the song, Dada is over, Dada is gone, but the name is gone. Because her name was Kathy. I don't remember. So, Dada is over, Dada is gone. Like, oh shit, it's like I remember I don't remember his name. Anyway.
Things like Twitch emotes, that kind of stuff, because they wanted that outlet, because I wanted to help, but I know it was never like enough. But at the same time, like, I mean, come on, being an artist or a photographer, you know, you're one of millions, you know, it's extremely difficult to get your own career path in that avenue. So like, while it does feel good to, I don't know, it's hard. It's really weird. It's a really hard situation. Tweed jacket off.
It's too hot.
In the Alice section, we return to Saga, and here we get the chance to flip-flop between the two of them however we would like. Saga has chapters Return 3 through 6, and Alan has Initiation chapters 4 through 8. For the next major middle point of the game, I would recommend going back and forth between Saga and Alan. While they are separate stories in their own right, they both kind of come to a head at a roughly similar time, and by swapping back between parts, it keeps the pacing and momentum relatively nice.
Right, and like you can also bounce back. It's like I feel like that just makes things a little more interesting. Like you don't get too narrowed into one thing or another thing.
Also gives me a perfect moment to talk about something I don't know much about. Finland. Saga's next stop is to go to the town
most of what I know about Finland
is... This is a place that in-game was founded by Finnish immigrants and is based off of a real-life place in Washington State in the United States. Apparently, Washington State has very similar climates to Finland, and through a combination of generational immigration, it contains a large cultural hotspot there. Watery in-game is an expression of that Finnish culture, and I just find it so endearing. Firstly, as we know from Control, he's on vacation. Vacation here. In fact, up there, singing a song, enjoying himself while the rest of the Finns are out enjoying the sauna by the lake. Never had a game. Maybe want to go into a sauna as much as Alan Wake 2 has. They talk about it all the time. And apparently it's a big part of Finnish culture, so I guess it makes sense, but...
They apparently have more saunas per capita in Finland than anywhere else on Earth. It's like apparently just a big deal. Like they'll hang out and because it's cold. So it's like it's a good like community hangout. I've learned a little bit about that, but not too much.
Damn. This game also contains a lot of people that do the speak their native tongue when frustrated, which is, I think, a woefully underutilized trope in video games. Like, we need more of that, you know?
I agree.
More voice actors who speak in English most of the game, and then when something bad happens, like a gun jam, something, they immediately revert to their native language. It just sounds so cool, you know? We should sign a petition. The whole section is actually very long. You're going to a trailer park in Watery to look for the clicker Alan previously told you about and we're familiar with. The worry is that Scratch will beat you to the clicker and will change reality in his way, and instead we need to get to it first so we can fix everything. This has you go through the coffee-themed amusement park owned by the Costello brothers, of course.
Fun.
Hold on for dear life on the Espresso Express.
Oh no, your hat.
Soak in some local history at the Watery Well, where two serial killers once hid the disemboweled bodies of their murder victims.
Fun.
It's not haunted.
Spending a good amount of time in here as you do, killing a few Taken and solving a few
That sounds about
puzzles,
right.
you get your key to your trailer at the trailer park where you get to meet Grandfather Anderson.
Moonshine. Only drink the moonshine, brother.
I'm sure you listeners had a bit of a puzzled look when you realized she was Saga Anderson of the famous Anderson brothers and Old Gods of Asgard. Well, at the moment, it would appear that Thor is supposed to be Saga Anderson's grandfather, and old Odin is her great uncle. They are also convinced that Saga's daughter Logan did in fact drown, and her old trailer is still here untouched. Saga's daughter's death is a plot point that has been written into the story and has been repeated by a few individuals we've seen so far. People of Watery, specifically the Costello brothers, commented on how good it is for her to come back, alluding that this whole thing was clearly very traumatic for her, and she's here to face her fears and emotions.
Must be hard coming back to where you and your little girl lived.
It's like they remember a different reality. Is the horror story messing with their memories?
The fear here, and one of the big motivating points for Saga, is that she is trying to undo the story and make sure her daughter isn't retroactively killed. The stakes are only heightened when she gets to her trailer, sees all of Logan's stuff, and attempts to call her husband David only to receive no answer. Clearly, getting Alan out of the dark place on his side of it is his motivation, but now we have motivation for Saga outside of, you know, just doing her job. After leaving the trailer, she sees Mulligan, the deputy sheriff from earlier, wearing a deer mask and heading into the workshop by Coffee World. Both him and Thornton have become taken for reasons explained in pages I just don't want to talk about, and you end up going into a ritual to get into the overlap and putting them both down in a boss fight. It's actually probably the best boss fight in the game too. Mulligan and Thornton are endlessly respawning and have different attack patterns, with one shooting you from afar and the other one up close. You need to destroy various darkness circles around the battlefield to stop them from spawning and then put them down for good. It's kind of neat. It isn't good. Like, I would call it a pretty mediocre boss fight, but it's probably the best one in the game, so it's neat. Saga then gets the clicker, and we move our way back to Bright Falls. So that was pretty good. Bright visited a whole new area, got some interesting lore, a bit of setup, Saga's motivation. Nice stuff. What's happening over in Alan's world?
Blair Witchin'.
From what I've gathered, you grew up nice and sheltered with mama's pretty stories and your own made-up fury. And mama gave me a magic clicker. Well, yes, I think it's true and fair to say.
God, I don't know what to make of this whole part, you know? What do I even say about this? Remedy's musical numbers are always the highlight of their games, and Herald of Darkness is no exception. In a way, it shouldn't work. It has all like logical reasoning fighting against it. The song's entire point in the story is just a recap for a memory lost Alan Wake and for the audience who didn't play the first game. It also is the entire chapter, just this walking segment listening to the music. It's also a hugely tonally inconsistent.
That's so weird.
Because even if you didn't do Saga's part first, you still arrive here right after a terrified Alan gives you information about the clicker, which that itself followed Dark Place Alan seeing his disturbed wife's videos. From a general outside view, this segment should not work. But that's like weak aura. Strong aura
That's
is
what makes it
fucking
work
strong.
sometimes.
Sam Lake reportedly had to fight to keep this section in, probably for the reasons I just listed, and I'm glad that Hack Fraud did, because despite the weirdness of all of it, it absolutely bangs.
And all your stories of crime and chilling thrillers of hard-boiled killers became bestsellers. It was all too much, I had to get away.
This is sick.
I don't know where they want me to go.
I would be way too distracted by the song to even play at this point. I love it though. I will be watching that at some point, but that's what, sometimes though the things that don't seem to work, that shouldn't work in games, somehow do. Like I feel like the majority of the original World Ends With You was like that. Like there was so many, like why? Like it's a cook. The guy's a chef and we're fighting. Okay, and now this guy's all about math puns, but it worked every time though. It was still so good.
Scared.
Song is, the dancing's fun. I could do any of this.
I had such a shit-eating grin on my face the entire section, and I'm a little shocked it was this early in the game that we received it, but complain I will not.
No,
even
it was
Ozzy loved it, and that's the biggest compliment it can
That
receive.
is.
Champion of life.
Catchy, right?
But what's even more insane is that I consider this the second best musical section in Alan Wake 2. But you know what's rather difficult about this game? Going through the game beat by beat is fun as a concept. When I did this for the Uncharted games, it was enjoyable because those were relatively short games with simple plot lines. But Alan Wake 2 is a surprisingly long game for this genre, and not only that, it doesn't give me any opportunities to jump past the middle sections. Even the ones I have already glossed over are jam-packed with things I feel like one of you is going to yell at me for skipping, like Coffee World, right? You know what? If we're in Coffee World, I'm taking the jacket off. There's a whole story about how the Costello brothers had a real moose at their theme park.
Come join Mocha Moose and the goats at our amusement park petting zoo. Just don't share your coffee with the goats. Seriously, stop feeding our goats coffee.
But they literally fed it a shit ton of coffee and it died of a fucking heart attack. Then they cooked it and wondered if the meat would be caffeinated. They ate Mocha! It's a whole dark comedy bit here because they are also trying to find a way to tell the children where Mocha had gone, but the whole story was contained in Coffee World, and so I just felt like I'd skip it for brevity's sake, right?
Right, but then no.
It's gonna be such a pain in the ass. I originally was thinking, okay, this is the part where Alan goes into the Ocean View Hotel and he learns to write a new horror story about the cult and Casey and yada yada. Awesome. I could probably just move through this one rather quickly. But then I forgot this is also the part where you trip balls with Thomas Zane when you write the story.
Whoa!
And that is how the magic happened.
Which now would seem like I met that quota, right? But then I'd be remiss to talk about the part when Jesse and Dr. Darling show up on the TV screen. Not to mention the hotel section is just really cool. The whole area is just super awesome. And Tim's there, and he's humming the Night Springs theme.
Hey, Alan.
It's
That's
maddening.
fun.
Every
That's
single
so
part
wild.
of this damn game has something I feel like I need to discuss. This was so much easier when it was just Nathan Drake ruining his marriage. Ugh. Do you think it's any easier with Saga? Hell no. You arrive back in Bright Falls and technically play as Alan Wake as you are assaulted by the Cult of the Tree. They raid this place you're staying at, and then when a cult is about to kill Alan, Saga then arrives and reveals actually Ilmo Costola of the Costola brothers.
I'm here to the rescue.
Oh no!
Because fuck me, I guess. The FBC, yes, the FBC arrive on scene, arrest Alan and Ilmo, and tell Saga, hey, you might be a Fed, but we're like Fed plus Sigma Fed, and you're off the case. This is FBC business, and if you argue, my director will literally mind control you.
Yeah.
She can do that. Okay,
Yeah, she
bye. It's exhausting.
That's
it's
a
so
lot.
much going on. Whatever happened to the old days where I was some tweed jacket wearing asshole with a flashlight and a revolver attacking lumberjacks? Sam Lake, you hack. You decided it wasn't enough to just jump the shark. You had to do kickflips over it.
You should do kickflips over it.
This script for this game might have been the hardest to write out of all of my videos. I genuinely struggled for days to weeks with writer's block and just an abysmal output of words on page because there was just such a volume of things to talk about. I would open it up and see whatever the next chapter was and be reminded about all the shit you did in it and how it both matters a ton and also doesn't really matter either. In the grand scheme, there are a frighteningly large amount of plot points in this game.
Okay, back again.
The next mission
There's
as
a
Saga
lot
has
happening.
you go to the Valhalla nursing home set up by Barry, my beloved, no
Barry!
cameo though, unbeloved.
See, I kept calling him Bernard.
Go to the Valhalla nursing home set up by Barry, my beloved, no cameo though, unbeloved, very sad, and
So
go
sad,
through
no
this
Barry.
agonizingly long section back and forth through the home, the medical wing, and the basement, all because Cynthia Weaver has gone full darkness mode and decides to jump scare you at every possible turn. Genuinely, the full screen jump scares are excessive here, and it's not scary. It is incredibly annoying to see again and again and again. It's genuinely just, whoa, Cynthia Weaver upon ye.
Think fast, chuckle nuts.
But I can't skip over this section because it does feature Cynthia Weaver from the first game. And I feel a little wrong if I gloss over it. Plus, we have Rose being the weirdo that she is, and Ati is here too. He's staying at the facility, and that's a big deal. And all of these miniature plot points are round up, all because Saga was put off the case and decided to give her grandfather a visit to figure out the next option. I think this helps me segue into something that might seem like a strange criticism, but I do believe it. I don't feel like Alan Wake 2 wanted to be a video game like this, or at least not this traditional style. Hear me out. I think we can all agree that the first title, the combat was at the least pretty mid. Some people didn't hate it, I did, but you know, it wasn't great. The main meat of the game was the story and cutscenes and all that goofy nonsense. Except for the concert. The concert was the best part of the combat. Control was a different thing entirely. And while I have my complaints, I did generally like the gameplay, and I think it fit really well with its narrative. For Alan Wake 2, the gameplay seems like it's made because they had to. The RE2 style formula is a good fit, but you barely actually play much of the game. There is an abundance of upgrades in this title. Tons of various side missions, particularly with Saga, where you go do little nursery rhymes to give you charms that help you with combat or survivability on your bracelets. Or
that feels Resident Evil-y too. Like you can put little charms on your guns and stuff in Resident Evil.
Go through and find Alex Casey lunchboxes that let you upgrade your weaponry. Alan has a similar thing with the Words of Power to allow him to upgrade his weapons. But all of that is what you get from doing exploration and discovery, but you barely actually shoot anyone. I have times with Saga where I go 10, 20, 30 minutes without firing my gun once in zones with enemies. It's different if I'm piecing together a puzzle in a nursing home, but I go to environments with open combat and see
just nobody there.
Same thing with Alan. He spends all this time with the lamp and the scene rewriting that outside of maybe a random shadow throwing me to the ground, I barely do any combat. Yet this game is so chock full of story beats that I don't know where they would have put more combat in the game anyway. It would have been tonally inconsistent if a Taken just randomly burst out of Odin's bedroom. So for a long time, it does genuinely feel like I'm just playing a walking simulator where it's all about looking for clues and doing mind
Which can be
stuff,
interesting.
and occasionally a Taken arrives. The entire Coffee World segment, I think I killed under 10 enemies the entire time. Now, these are much more frightening and threatening enemies than the first Alan Wake, but I think we could find a middle ground. I just don't know how Remedy can when there is so much happening.
Nice.
Alan's
Horrible
sections
noise.
are a bit better with this, in fairness. The enemies are a bit more common since they aren't all real, and therefore there's a bit more of an emphasis on stealth. While it's not combat, it is still gameplay, so to speak.
Fair.
So even stealthing, I do feel a bit more engaged. You'll notice this a lot because certain chapters of the game are just that only. Initiation 6 and 7 are just discovery. 6, titled Return, has Alan going back to Parliament Tower to get Alice's video once again. And 7 is called Masks, which is entirely you just leaving Mr. Door's talk show studio, though not after receiving a few threats from the boss himself.
Of course.
The next time we meet, the circumstances will be very different. And you would do well to return the favor by playing your part. Or stay out of my way, Mr. Wake.
Ugh. Okay. Goodbye.
Whatever you say.
This is also the last time we see Mr. Door in the
Bummer.
game, which is a huge disappointment.
That doesn't make
David
sense.
Harewood was amazing, and 3 scenes? It isn't nearly enough. I assume he'll be in Control 2 or one of the DLCs they have planned for Alan Wake 2, but as
Yeah,
a
he needs to
base
come
game,
back.
I felt a bit cheated with how much of a character he seemed like he was going to be and then wasn't. But
Especially if like he's like threatening people. He's like, oh, you'll regret it, and then he never shows up again. It's like that kind of takes the teeth out of that.
But after a large amount of inner story bits, gameplay sections, and discovery that I have completely glossed over for the sake of my sanity and this video's runtime.
I only play him in the movies. He's just a...
This is actually Sam Lake. This is actually fucking Sam Lake. I get to kill Sam. I get to...
Oh, no, you don't.
That hack.
You'll be sorry.
Sam Lake, you hack. I get to kill you for all your shit.
Nope, he's gone.
We can at least
He's
talk
gone.
about
Damn it.
A bit about how it wraps up, because thank God it's a little more linear. So, as Saga, you head back to the sheriff's station in Bright Falls, where they have been attacked, and Casey, as well as the FBC agent Estevez, have been wounded. You deal with this whole situation.
So
at the
you took
sheriff's
me off
station, and with
the
clicker
case,
in
and this
hand,
happened?
You go to get Alan out of jail, much to the chagrin of the two brothers. This turns out to
'Cause
be a
they should-
horrible mistake, as the Alan currently in the real world is actually Scratch in disguise.
Oh, good. So maybe you should have listened to the brothers. I was just thinking like, well, they were actually cultists or whatever, right? So maybe they should be in jail. Alan should get out of jail, but Alan is not here.
And completely vaporizes one of the brothers.
Dang. Whoa. No, I'm sorry, brother.
Particularly good boss fight where you basically just shoot Scratch for a bit, turn on a bunch of those
That's
big boxes
devastating.
from Control, and he is stopped from getting what he wants. The big twist here is that the two Costello brothers are the leaders of the cult.
Right.
But the cult was actually all about stopping the Taken that were slowly coming out of the water. Cauldron Lake.
Okay, so that's why they killed the guy, right? So you played the Taken at the beginning. That's really cool, actually. It's like, okay. So the cult were the good guys the whole time. So that does make it really sad that his brother died.
Would spit out more and more Taken, and they, as the cult, would kill them in a similar way that Alan did with Barbara Jagger by cutting out their heart, putting the clicker in there, and then pressing the clicker. However, as Tor Anderson put earlier in the game, the clicker by itself doesn't really do anything, but rather intensifies the work of art that mixes with it. So in order to bring back the real Alan from the dark place, they have decided upon the greatest idea in any of these Remedy games.
Oh, really?
A summoning. A dark
Yay!
ocean summoning in the form of a music concert. While Herald of Darkness is one of the most memorable moments of the entire year of 2023, I truly think that Dark Ocean Summoning is the best part of the entire game. The reason for this is that the musical number is a great culmination of everything you've done so far. You have the FBC working with you, Alex Casey is helping you out, the old gods of Asgard are back in their prime, and you, Saga Anderson, granddaughter of Thor, are there to bring Alan back from the lake. It's a phenomenal culmination of all of the efforts and all of the major characters in the real world. This is met with an equal amount of hilarious setup because there's a trek back down to Cauldron Lake with actually a decent amount of combat this time, and the stakes are all, a bit heightened, all the while Tor and Odin have their tour bus smashing into everything they possibly can.
Yeah! The buses are him. Good for you, Odin.
It also
That
is a
does sound
major
very funny,
combat
actually.
section in a game that has very little combat overall. So that feeling and that feeling of satisfaction is prevalent here. And of course, this should not be surprising. The song absolutely bangs.
Yeah.
From the cold depths now I will conjure the spiral madness of his mind.
The silent lies that which colors the night, and he may ride in your step from the other side of the moonlight.
Come save your soul, awake new and whole. By name I will summon hell. From silence to screams, from the city of dreams, it's a dark ocean summoning.
Ooh, really high.
It is a huge
That's cool as
disappointment
fuck.
that this part was running at like 20 frames a second for me
That's a
when I
bummer.
streamed it. It was rough. When the Dark Ocean summoning is complete, you press and nothing happens.
Of course nothing
Turns
happens.
out the summoning was not for right now, but was in fact to summon the Alan who originally appeared at the first part of the game on the shore way back when. I
Okay.
hate you, Sam Lake, and your love for time paradoxes. Why are you this way? This is the big reveal, however. Scratch, unlike the counterpart we dealt with in American Nightmare, is not a different person. Scratch and Alan are the same, something that has been alluded to throughout the game. Mr. Scratch, in a way, is the dark presence puppeting Alan. All of his insecurities, all of his fears, all of the metaphorical darkness we talked about so much in the first game is actually what Mr. Scratch ends up being. Back in Alan Land, in the final video from Alice, it shows that she took her own life because of Mr. Scratch constantly harassing her, and that sent Alan down the horrible mental spiral that allowed the dark presence to take him over and become Mr. Scratch. The metaphor of the dark presence that was present in the first game has taken a literal form. Every loop ends with Alan being possessed by Scratch and thus feels personally responsible for Alice's death. Scratch then arrives at the summoning site and you do another just terrible boss fight against him where you
Such a
stun him a
bummer.
few times and then move a bunch of lights, but it doesn't work as well as you'd like, and you do remove Scratch from Alan's body, but then he immediately takes over Casey's body instead and steals the clicker and just chucks Saga into the lake. From here we get
bye,
the
Saga.
final
Have a
stretch
nice
of
swim.
the game where Alan, now fully himself back in the real
the
world,
first time
attempts
in
to stop the
ever.
new Scratch possessed Casey from bringing about the horror story ending what was written. And you know what that means, right? It means Deerfest, baby. Let's go. Never ending Deerfest. Let's
Deerfest forever. It's like purgatory.
Saga,
Always
meanwhile, attempts
Deerfest.
to stop the dark presence from eating away at her own mind while trapped in her mind place, which is actually kind of a fun little spot. You have the dark presence of Saga, all of her fears and insecurities, and they use the evidence board and profiling as a way to work through it. It's a neat way. It's a good way to reuse mechanics for the end of the game. Oh my god. Look at this. Oh my god.
That looks like something out of Outlast. What the fuck?
God, what is this fucking picture? Biblically accurate Sam Lake. But over the course of a bunch of reveals, including the heavily
They
implied
put him in like Photoshop and used the clone tool, just scratched him up.
concept that Mr. Door is possibly her father, she works with the aid of good old Tim Breaker and the manuscripts to get her out of the dark place. Turns out Alan is just a shit writer, so Saga gets out of here in 13 minutes, while he's out here in 13 years. The game ends with Alan going back to rewrite the ending of Return to one where the town doesn't die and he doesn't kill Saga's daughter, which in his attempts to get out of the dark place, he did write Saga's daughter into this as the main, hero and plot device, and well, it makes sense if Dora's her dad, why he's so pissed off about that.
Yeah,
Making
maybe
their
a little
way
bit.
to the writing room at the top of the Valhalla nursing home, door opened by Ati himself. Alan
Hey, Ati.
banishes Scratch with the clicker, and Saga, utilizing a bullet of light she got from the dark place, shoots it at a currently being possessed Alan. Then
Another Alan dies.
Casey's fine. Alan's shot. Saga calls Logan to see if she's all right. Ring, 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 banana phone, and the game cuts to black. Roll credits.
Of course
now, let me tell you, when I first did this ending, I thought it was absolute dog shit. We spent the entire time going through all of this stuff, 13 years, not really for me, but you get the point, for a cliffhanger ending, and honest to God, more questions than answers. And it stayed this way for months.
I like that
after the Game Awards,
has
where the
the
final
coat
draft
half
New
on.
Game Plus was released.
New Game Plus, the final draft is going to be coming out. New story content, so yeah, go play it, thanks.
Now, in the original ending and the post-credit scene, it's revealed that Alice actually tricked Alan into thinking that she died.
She gone girled herself? What a bitch.
With consultation from the FBC. This was all a plan to eventually have him, quote, ascend through the dark place and close the loop, with Alan reviving from his gunshot and saying,
It's not a loop.
It's a spiral.
It's a spiral.
Okay.
I can't even say Sam Lake you hack anymore, man. He has so many moments.
The final
That was
draft,
hacking.
being the New Game Plus playthrough, has a variety of changes throughout the game, including additional manuscripts, videos with Dr. Darling, My Beloved.
Look at you. You're swole.
And most importantly, an extended
Cute.
ending showing that Logan is completely okay and that Alice didn't jump to her death, but rather into Cauldron Lake to assist Alan getting out. His last words involve him declaring that he is the master of many worlds, which is clearly a hero's journey reference. And there we have
And a
it.
writing
Logan is okay, Saga's okay, Sam Lake you hacks, Alex Casey is chilling fine, Alan got out of the dark place, his wife
now
is in
he's
it
dead.
now though, so that's not very great, but he did it, so isn't that nice? So
He's got a glowing beacon in his forehead now forever.
I don't really like it. I struggled a lot with making this video. I said earlier that it's a lot easier when it's just some silly Indiana Jones game and Nathan's being stupid, but this is a lot.
There was a
It's
lot going
too
on.
much. And I was struggling so hard to try to figure out why I did not enjoy Alan Wake 2, or at least found myself unsatisfied. I hope you can give me a little bit of leeway here.
I'll give you
For
so
the
much
most
leeway.
part, I find myself generally agreeing with the masses on a lot of game things. I rarely agree 100%, but tend to trend towards a similar direction. Control, for example. I really liked it. I had my problems with it, but I still trended on the line of liking it. This game got overwhelming praise last year across the board. 5 out of 5 stars, 10 out of 10
Really?
ratings. It was nominated
Best
for multiple.
narrative? I mean, if you like, look, the narrative didn't seem bad, but it seemed like it needed an edit or two, you know? Like, just pare it down just a little bit.
Game of the Year awards and took a few. I initially thought it had something to do with how I first played it. My experience streaming this game was not very good. I was plagued by technical issues, was clearly distracted monitoring my system and interacting with chat, and any streamers who are watching this,
That can
you've ever
be
played a
a
game with puzzles, chat is very unkind to a moment's hesitation.
Honestly, I will say when I've played games with puzzles, when I was doing it on stream, when I was doing like Half-Life, people were pretty nice. They were really mean to me when I couldn't figure out Discord. Because I couldn't figure out Discord, and they were really mean about that. But when it came to the puzzles in like Half-Life, people were very nice. And like they offered help when I asked for it, but they were pretty good about not spoiling things and not just like helping all the time. They gave me time to mess it up and try and figure it out myself. I appreciated that. So if y'all were watching when I was playing stuff on stream, thank you. You all were pretty great. Much obliged. The only one whose name I currently remember was Redeemer of the Dark. They were very helpful in a lot of different ways. But yeah.
1509? 28? Or 23? Fuck. A month is the 15th month? What? I assume they said 1508 because they're like Swedish and they do dates backwards. Oh, I fucked up. I did 1509. Oh shit. I did 1509 instead of 1608. Oh, I see my mistake. What?
15.
Ah, there we go. Let's go.
So sure.
Which is why I really thought that playing through the New Game Plus mode would make me feel better. There were definitely more enemies, which was great. I had significantly fewer technical issues, and I was on my own to enjoy the game at my leisure, and I still left unsatisfied. What troubled me the most was my inability to explain why. There are so many aspects of this title that I thoroughly enjoy, and in fact, when I think about the certain parts of Alan Wake 2, I think of them fondly. Herald of Darkness is one of the best parts of all of 2023 gaming, and Dark Ocean Summoning, I think, beats that out. The game is incredibly good looking and has some of the best visuals I have seen, and something I did not even touch on was the gun sounds and general combat noises are all very visceral and well realized.
I will say, Eve, I love how he is, the way that he talks about games. I mean, even if he's biased, he's still really capable of explaining why he doesn't like the things he did, and he's really good at coming up with the things that he does and telling us about that too. I just think it's a really cool way to do reviews and stuff. It's like it feels very genuine, and I really appreciate that even when he doesn't like something, he can still be like, but this was good, and it's a good quality to have.
The voice acting here is better than any of the Remedy games before it. Every single character puts on Game of the Year nominating performance, and honestly, if they let you nominate more than one character per game, I felt like Alan Wake 2 would take minimum 3 spots. The hidden messages and fake commercials were some of the best that all the Remedy games have done. The art direction is some of the strongest I have ever seen, though I do like Control maybe a little bit more just from that like 80s Cold War style. And the mechanics that they've developed for this game, like the angel lamp and the scene changing, are all unique and very flavorful. And yet I still feel unsatisfied. And that sucks, truly, because people aren't making games like this right now. When I say Sam Lake you hack, it should have brackets that say Affectionate after it. Because while I think it's a bit pretentious how much he puts himself in his games, and the and the 20-minute long indie film that you can watch in the final chapter with Alan starring him, he's so silly, but he is still a true visionary, and I respect him immensely for it. His team are able to make AAA art house video games, and nobody is doing that. Like, we are being fed never-ending corporate shit, waiting for the next live service to arrive, take all of our money, and then shut down. And here they are, making truly unique games on a AA budget, and that is fucking incredible. But I think someone needs to start to tell him no. And let me explain what I mean. Alan Wake feels like it is not the sum of its parts. And with its huge sprawling world and insane plot lines, it buckles under the weight of its own ambition. Each individual component of the game feels great, but it's when they're all put together that I feel like it falters. For example, a lot of the very important content in this game does not receive the screen time they deserve. Logan is a plot device in their entirety, and they are only on a phone call twice in the first third of the game. Alice is a major player here, especially for the ending, and is only present for 3 live action tapes, giving her about 10 minutes of total screen time, yet she is that driving force that gets Alan out of the dark place at the end.
It seems like it's one of those things that's like, you had to have something, and so it feels like some of these things were kind of shoehorned in for reasons, and that is annoying when it comes to story time.
Mr. Door is utilized for only 3 scenes and then is there just to set up DLC or Control 2, and while the game does provide us with an ending for Alan, it also leaves us with about as many questions as we started, just different ones. This might be a me problem, but I was hoping we would get some closure. I wanted there to be a real finale, a genuine end to a lot of this. Tie a good bow on it. I can't fault the game for not meeting my expectations, but I do think there's a bit of a mess that it leaves. I love to talk in metaphors because it's just how I get my point across, and I don't know which one is better for this situation, so I'm gonna give you 2. The first is like the mast of a ship in a storm, and the fact that I feel like the game needed one and didn't give it to me. Alan Wake is such a convoluted game with so many plot lines, themes, and threads that in order for me to have a grasp on what's real and what's not, I need something to put my foot down, and I need something to keep me grounded in a world of dreamlike logic. This is something that Control did very well. Even in an ever-shifting house, our protagonist and her goals were clear and present the entire time. In this game, you have the dark place and you
Her
have
eyeshadow
reality.
was on point.
And I assume that Saga was the mast. It was the character I could hold on to ground myself in this completely batshit story. But even in the real world, things constantly change. There comes a point where if something happens in the real world or the dark place, it can mean 3 different things at once, and it's just up to what the writers wanted to have it mean. For example, right, in the dark place, we know it operates on dream logic. So if you look at, say, Alice's recordings, those could be real things that actually happened in the real world going into the dark place, complete fabrications made up by the dark place to screw with Alan, or things that are actually happening in the dark place but not in the real world. We, as the audience, have absolutely no idea which one it is or which way it goes.
And we never figure it out.
The only way we will know is if the game explicitly tells us. If in the next game, if there's an Alan Wake 3 or a DLC, whatever, and they come out and they say, no, Alice never was a part of this. That was just your mind playing tricks on you. That's in the character of the game. That can't happen. They're breaking no rules that way. In Saga's world, I would have hoped that the real world would have been more grounded and I could know what's real and what's not, what's part of the story and what's not. But throughout the entire time, the real world changes as well. Saga is revealed to be a seer with her mom Freya and basically magic. And that's never really explained except for maybe a sign to do with Mr. Door being her dad. Even then, we have all of Control, and Control specifically states that this weird stuff happens because of an AWE or an OOP, but we don't have either of those to
that we know of.
So the world of the real place has changed along with the writing, and you never know what's real. And what bugs me is that I get this is the point. I just have nothing to put my foot down. I have no mast to put my hands around, nothing to hold me down and let me know this is what's real and this is what we're doing. And it makes it exhausting. Every single section has another convoluted plot thread that leads to another spiderweb of information, and it bombards you with a million other different threads and confusing reveals that you can't even trust are real, all the while hitting you with full screen jump scares.
Oh, good.
You spend about 20 hours doing tons of walking and barely any combat gameplay, only to get to the finale where you're then told to do it all again for about another 10 minutes of extra footage.
Oh no, that sucks. That does suck. That it's like you did it, now New Game Plus, and now you get to do it all again. We're not really adding anything new except for more monsters. Okay. I guess like a lot of this would kind of also depend on like what kind of game you want to play. Like how much combat do you want to exist in the game versus like how many puzzles? Like where like that feels like it might be a little subjective.
For the real ending.
But I can see where he's annoyed.
It's too much. It's too much for me. I am crumbling under the weight of this story. And it's not that I don't understand it. Possibly Ati is a god and the Sage's bloodline revolving around Norse myth, or the idea that the final draft New Game Plus is truly the final draft at the end that turns into the spiral. Like that's fair. That's a unique way to do this. I see what they're going for. I just can't handle it. I've got a burrito. You know?
I want a burrito.
God damn it, viewers. I have a burrito. And all the internals of this burrito are unique and fascinating. And they're cooked to perfection. The ingredient list is poignant and strong. But it's wrapped in a tortilla that's too small and flimsy. And so I just can't hold it all together. Sounds pretty typical,
actually, of a burrito.
Some people are fine with that. They take that flimsy burrito, they put it in the bowl, and they eat it with a fork. And they just don't care. But I'm trying to eat this burrito with my hands, and it's falling apart and it's staining my fingers brown and red. And god damn it, do I still appreciate how tasty this burrito is. And I want them to keep making burritos like this. But I need a better tortilla, god damn it. I don't think I like Alan Wake 2. Because it's doing kickflips over the shark with a billion convoluted plot threads and an ending that left me unsatisfied with their conclusion, despite the game being filled with genuine Game of the Year moments. Game review is a subjective thing. You know, I have my personal tastes in video games and you have yours, but for me, I think I just need a tighter story. I don't know
See, that's
of
fair.
art
Like, that's what I was
house
saying. Like,
games
you need
that
to
spend 20 hours
edit it a
getting
little bit.
there. Most extremely artistic games I know of are short 5 to 7 hour experiences, and I wonder if this is why. I think you can blend the artistic with a more streamlined and concise package. That's what I think Control is. Control is a batshit game, but it is a batshit game that is tight. Even with my complaints to it, it is a concise, strong story that mixes narrative and gameplay far better than Alan Wake 2 does. The game is unscorable. Genuinely, if you were expecting the best and worst X out of 10, I have nothing for you. I don't know where to fucking start. I'm extremely happy that you all seem to love it, but I won't lie, I'm a little shocked you do, because I feel like the average person would just bounce right off this game within the first 2 hours. But I want to make something clear in a serious manner. It is Sam Lake, you hack, parentheses, affectionate. I want him to cook. I want him to become a world-class chef. It might come out a little raw, it might come out a little burnt, but god damn it,
not world-class.
I will fund his restaurant. I have the utmost respect for video games like this. I want there to be more with real vision and real artistic integrity. I will absolutely play whatever has the Remedy Games logo on it. So even though I bounced off this one, you can 100% expect me to be there day one for whatever DLC this comes out with, and especially for Control 2. Sam Lake, you hack. Thank you for what you and your team do. And thank you, Remedy, for making this kind of game. Okay. That's the video. I've yelled enough. I've said.
And I sat here the whole time.
I didn't know what I was gonna get going in, but goddamn. Thanks for watching. Merch in the description. You want to check it out? Please do. That'd be very nice. That's all I got. Cheers.
Bye. Edited by Skater Clone. Good job, Skater Clone. You did good. I'm honestly shocked that I sat here and just watched the whole thing. I'm really surprised by myself. I really thought I was gonna get up, but I was really interested and there wasn't a good stopping point. So, yeah, you got the whole thing all at once instead of 2 45-minute videos, or like I would have put them together, but okay, so the next one is much shorter. That one's In Night Springs, Alan Wake 2 DLC. So I'll be doing that next. I hope you did enjoy this. This is one of those ones that was like the timestamp was like the main reason I had take so long to do this. I'm like, a lot of them I'm like 30 minutes, that's so long, because it's always at least 15 minutes longer. So that's that. That's just me being kind of like I need to be able to get up and move or like switch things around. I don't watch movies very often because it just this, you know, for the exact same reason. I'm like, I need to have like multiple different options here. But yeah, so I still enjoyed this quite a lot. I do understand where he's coming from. I think that some of it would depend on the kind of game that you're wanting to play. As opposed to like, if he seems like he likes to do more combat games. So it's like, if you're not looking for a super combat game, maybe this is something that you would genuinely enjoy. I like how he is able of putting his own feelings aside to explain things in a very fair way. He's a great reviewer, honestly. So I really enjoyed that. Thanks for the reminder to watch this. I did it. You're welcome. Thank you for watching. And I will see you all in the next one. I will be watching the Night Springs DLC review soon, and I'll see a lot of other things in between probably, but I'll see you there. Bye.